and very much welcome the joint plan to address the scourge of fentanyl. Recent events have been a wake-up call for Canadians. The world has changed, and we too must change to realize the full promise of our great country. Since I launched my campaign a few weeks ago, I've heard from people across the country that they too want change. Les gens veulent du changement parce qu'ils sont
People want change because they are worried.
Du coût de la vie.
They're worried about the cost of living and the housing crisis.
Les Canadiennes veulent une vie
Canadians want a healthy, affordable life.
Ils sont inquiets pour les jeunes d'ici.
They're worried about children here and their future. Canadians want their children to have the same opportunities they did. They are worried about immigration issues, and Canadians want a fair and just country for those arriving here as well as for those who are already here. They are worried about Canada's future. Not just President Trump's threats, but a more divided world and the enormous changes in the technology sector that have only just begun.
Canadians want change with a plan that stands up for Canada and creates an opportunity for all Canadians. Canadians want change with a new, positive leadership that ends division and builds together. Now, I'm not a politician. I am a pragmatist. And so if I see something that's not working, I will change it. And that's why last week I proposed a new climate policy, eliminating the consumer carbon tax, having large polluters pay Canadians to make climate-smart choices, and helping our countries leapfrog their American competitors in global markets. Canada needs more of this type of change. Change that puts money in people's pockets. Change that makes our companies more competitive. Change that builds the strongest economy in the G7. Now we face a very different world to one we've known all our lives. A world in which Americans have become more neighbors than our good friends. And it can feel bewildering at first, but if we take control, it will be empowering. And here's how we do that. We need to distinguish between what we can't change, what we can influence, and what we can and must change to build an even better Canada. On doit comprendre ce que on ne peut pas changer.
We need to understand what we cannot change. We cannot change the fact that there will always be economic and geopolitical shocks and change and climate crises. This is why we need to be resilient, just as our financial system was during the global financial crisis. This also means that we need to work together as Canadians and as many Canadians have done for years. Facing external threats, it is our solidarity and determination that have permitted us to achieve good results this week.
We need to understand what we can influence. Look, the world is being fundamentally transformed. The old rules-based order is finished, but a new one, a new system, has not yet emerged. And Canada should now work with like-minded nations to create a trading system that is consistent with our values and that builds our prosperity. Whether we can influence President Trump is debatable, but I think we can, if we listen to what Americans want and respond in ways that are best for Canada. However, we need to be crystal clear about our bottom lines. This proud country will never be part of the United States in any shape or form.
Hear, hear.
Nous devons comprendre ce que nous pouvons et
we
devons
need to
changer.
understand what we can and must change.
Chez nous. nous pouvons considérer,
we are at home.
pouvons contrôler notre destin.
We can consider ourselves and we can control our economic future. Canada is a great country. We have immense resources and talented people producing innovations.
Our government to become more effective. Canadians deserve a government that works for them, a government that's focused on outcomes, not spending, a government that spends less and invests more. In the coming weeks, I'll propose a new approach to federal budgeting that will save precious taxpayer dollars while catalyzing the enormous investments that Canada needs to fully realize its promise. We can and must change how much of your hard-earned money you get to keep. Canada needs a middle-class tax cut, and my government will give them one. Young Canadians need a boost to their incomes so they can catch up after being knocked sideways by the pandemic and the housing crisis. Here, too, my government will deliver. And all Canadians deserve more competition in our economy so that they can get the best value for their hard-earned dollar. We can and must change how we build. This is a pivotal time for our economy, a time to build, and my government would catalyze enormous private investment to build millions of new homes for younger Canadians, to make the AI revolution work for all Canadians, and to build a clean energy superpower that will power, literally, our prosperity. But too often, we've had permitting delays, regulation, and red tape that has stopped or slowed economically critical projects, including ports, mines, and energy infrastructure. We must remove these barriers to spur progress and build for Canadians. I want to be crystal clear about this. My government will use all its powers to protect Canadians and to build in the national interest. The Government of Canada has extraordinary powers at its disposal today to respond to a national crisis. And Donald Trump's aggression against Canadian livelihoods and workers constitutes just such a crisis. And since it's a time to build, we can change how builders are rewarded in this country. That's why I will reverse the government's capital gains tax increase, not least in recognition of the vital role that builders play in shaping our country's future and ensuring we drive investment, innovation, and growth.